proudly presents Welcome to another MidColumbia Mastersingers Music Memo. Today we have Dr. Wallen, conductor, the MidColumbia Symphony, and we also have Justin Raffa, the MidColumbia Mastersingers director. Thank you both for joining me today.
You're very welcome.
And so we have an upcoming wonderful adventure in our community where two musical ensembles, the MidColumbia Mastersingers, is joining force again with MidColumbia Symphony for a wonderful performance of Brahms Requiem. Tell me more about this.
So if people have been to Mastersingers concerts in the past, or if they've been to MidColumbia Symphony concerts in the past, the thing to imagine is all of the fantastic art and music that each of those groups can do, but put them together, it's almost like this exponential explosion of artistic creative activity, which just makes things super, super expressive. Justin and I have been friends for now over a decade, which is wonderful. And we've done several projects like this. And I'm really looking forward to this one because it's been a couple of years, obviously, with everything that's happened in the meantime.
Exactly. And Justin, have you found any difficulties or challenges working with a friend of yours, as well as a different part of our community ensemble in the musical industry here?
Not at all. In fact, it's my greatest joy in this industry to get to make music with my friends, with those I love, with those I respect. It's the most meaningful artistic experiences that I get to have as a conductor. And in this very unique relationship where I am preparing my choir that I normally stand in front of and conduct, and am literally handing them over, the transfer of the baton to Nick, to a different conductor. And I think it takes a really special working relationship for that transition to take place. There's usually not a lot of time that we're able to schedule for putting the groups together. You know, time is money in the professional world, out of which the symphony musicians come. And, you know, we haven't done this in a while. If anything has been challenging, it's just getting the big choir back together. We have 72 singers who have been preparing this masterwork, and it really wasn't up until a couple weeks ago that I could have them all in the same physical space and be able to put this product together. So we're kind of blowing off the dust a bit and remembering how this goes and how we make big, committed sound so that we can be heard over a 60-piece orchestra.
And I'm sure our community members are going to be so grateful, especially having such a long gap in live musical entertainment. Now, for the rest of the community that's not as familiar with Brahms, but what is some information you could pass on to the general public about Brahms and specifically the Requiem and why you guys chose that piece for right now?
So I'll say a couple things. If you're familiar with the music of Beethoven, Brahms is just a little bit newer than Beethoven. Okay, so take a big sort of famous piece like Beethoven's Ninth Symphony and sort of extrapolate that out a couple years newer than that, but right in that sort of same family of compositional style. Brahms Requiem has 7 different movements, and it's all texts from the Old Testament and New Testament and the Apocrypha, stuff that Brahms chose himself. It is very dramatic. Everything from sort of challenging the concept of death, challenging hell, asking, hell, where is your victory? You can't beat me down, to the most sort of sublime and beautiful depictions of sort of heavenly dwellings. We have a gigantic range of emotion and expression. So it's a big, big, big expressive romantic piece.
I would add to that and would argue that when composers sit down and write their most inspired works, or if they look back at their compositional catalog over their life, that probably their proudest and most moving works are those that are written for these larger combined forces of putting choir and orchestra and vocal soloists all together on the stage. Because of, and Nick alluded to this a bit, all of the variety of options that you get in terms of color and texture. There's just so much more at a composer's disposal when you have singers and instrumentalists. And the idea of the text of the piece, we could have a whole session on that in itself. And if you look at the title, it's also very specific that Brahms eventually titled this work Ein Deutsches Requiem, a German Requiem. The fact that the piece is written in his native vernacular, in the German language, was really breaking with tradition. Composers who for hundreds and hundreds of years had been writing works about death or settings of the Requiem text in particular were largely done in Latin, the language of the Western Church for a long time. So it's very bold and intentional choices of him, not just to put the choir in his native German language, but put the word German in the text of the piece and remind us that this is really about our humanity and not just death and suffering that may await some of us when our life on this world ends, but that there is an opportunity to celebrate the dead and be thankful for the work that they did for us and for our communities during their life with us on this planet.
Well said, both of you. And I think that no matter what your musical background, anybody that comes together to watch a performance such as this is going to be able to experience that beautiful sentiment of humanity and togetherness.
When we do works that are considered sacred in nature, that have a religious context, it's important to understand the background of the composers themselves. And I always like to educate my singers and my audiences. Brahms himself was not a particularly devout religious person, but he did believe in the greater good of humanity. I think that it has a very powerful universal message for all of us of what mankind really means, and the shifting in philosophies in the 19th century that he was really privy to, the shift from we all respond to a higher power and we as human beings, we don't really have a lot of say in what goes on. Well, as a matter of fact, we do. We have a lot of influence on society and how we treat one another, from our local communities to the global community.
And Brahms had these themes throughout several different compositions across his lifetime. But as Justin was talking about, this Requiem is the biggest piece that he wrote. He has symphonies, he has other choral symphonic pieces, but this is the largest piece in his entire repertoire, really. And these general themes of reward for hard work and comfort for the people who are left behind sometimes when people die, when people pass away, comfort for those of us who remain. And I wrote this in some program notes in our program last week. I really honestly, sincerely hope that people who come to our concert have some kind of comfort, can find solace in our performance. We all carry various burdens, and we offer this music honestly and very, very sincerely in a spirit of helping people find comfort and solace from those burdens.
Well, thank you guys so much for being here with me today. And I hope that everybody in the community has a chance to come and see this wonderful performance, especially since it's been a couple years since the MidColumbia Mastersingers and MidColumbia Symphony could partner up and do this for our community. I appreciate your time, and I appreciate you helping to inform our community more about these beautiful pieces of music. And we look forward to seeing this performance. Thank you.